Former President Trump's allies have rallied to support his legal challenges, saying that those challenges are threatening to derail his bid for the White House. Republican Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida joins me now for more on that. Congressman, thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time. You know, former President Trump's attorneys are arguing the president has to have immunity for the office to function properly. But these lower courts rejected that. The D.C. Circuit ruled that that would collapse the system of separated powers by placing the president beyond reach of the other branches. Why should the Supreme Court overturn that ruling? You're an attorney. You're backing Trump here. Walk me through why you think the presidential immunity part is more important than the separation of powers.
Well, first of all, let me just say I'm not an attorney. I'm a business person, also a member of Congress, somebody who has common sense. The first thing we understand is that the DC Circuit is the most political circuit in all of the district circuit courts of the federal court system. So the DC Circuit is, especially considering their conduct over the last couple of years, is not even-handed. Number two, I think the key phrase is that when you're dealing with the bounds of the powers of the presidency, that's very important. During 2020, President Trump, through his team, was making sure that the laws were actually being faithfully executed around how ballots were being counted. That is an official act. So a president does have a responsibility to do that. Number three, if you look at the cases that are now being brought, this is clearly coordinated by Democrats at the upper ends of the Democrat Party, who are now trying to criminalize the ability to actually go through the legal process of making sure that the ballots are counted appropriately, that actual protocols in election processes in states are followed accurately. And if that is now illegal, then we have a much bigger problem. Because if the Supreme Court doesn't grant presidential immunity, what you're saying to President Biden is that because he did not follow border security law and Americans have died as a result, then he could be brought up on criminal charges. Or the fact that President Biden has used his administration to limit and suppress the free speech of the American people during COVID-19, then he could be brought up on criminal or civil charges as a result. This is a major case about the powers of the presidency. And if you look at what President Trump did during 2020, his actions were through his office to make sure that election laws were faithfully followed in the United States.
Congressman, you're talking about President Biden, but if the Supreme Court rules that presidents are immune from prosecution, that obviously would protect Democratic presidents as well. So are you concerned that President Biden could take advantage of that immunity?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think you're saying it the wrong way. What I'm saying is that there has to be some element that protects the president in their official duties. Whether we agree or disagree with the actions, as long as they are within the official duties, there has to be some protection for presidents when they leave office, or they will constantly be looking over their shoulder. And you cannot have a chief executive actually manage the duties of that office if they're constantly worried about, well, when I leave office, I'm going to be prosecuted by my political rivals, which, by the way, is exactly what is happening to President Trump. That is why this is interfering in an election, because his presidential rivals, his political rivals, are actively trying to criminalize him and prosecute him. You cannot maintain the United States of America if you continue to go down this road. Presidents do have to have some semblance of protection when they leave office.
Congressman, former President Trump has now been identified as an unindicted co-conspirator in election interference cases in Arizona and Michigan as well. What's your reaction to that?
I think these cases are a farce and a joke. Once again, more election interference. Let's also be very clear. Why did the attorney general in Arizona wait to do this 6 months before an election? Because she wants to interfere with the election in Arizona. Why do this in Michigan? Because they want to interfere in the election in Michigan. And I'll say it again. There is nothing illegal about a campaign deciding to challenge an election. It happens all the time. There's nothing illegal about that. What you have here is you have Democrat attorney generals who want to criminalize that behavior for political purposes. To a broader perspective, We get these arguments all the time about trying to protect the institutions of our country. If you criminalize behavior that does allow candidates to challenge elections, then you are actually leading to the destruction of our institutions. You're not protecting our institutions.
Congressman, there are methods in place to do that, and what they're alleging is that Trump went beyond those legal methods. And we, of course, will watch this play out in court, and so your arguments will be heard there as well. Republican Congressman Byron Donalds, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.